Let's talk about sink tip lines and heavy flies and how to cast them, how to get them out of the water, how to extend them, and so on. First off, I want you to understand what I have on here is way more than you're probably ever going to have. I've got a big waterlogged not dry fly, but a streamer without weight on it, and I've tied on another fly, so I've got a big old clouser with large lead eyes on it. So I've got two flies tied on the end of this thing. I've got a 7.5 foot leader ending up in 0x tippet, and I've got a 24-foot 300 grain sink tip line. So and I've just painted this thing orange so you have some at least chance of seeing it. And then of course the running line, the floating line, is the yellow line. So it's a 24-foot head sinking tip along with a 300 grain line, two big giant flies, and a 7-weight rod. So let's just talk a little bit about what you're going to do. First off, this demarcation between the orange and the, if I can find it here, between the orange and the yellow right here, that you're going to use that as a guide to when to pick up, when to drop it, and so on. When to roll cast it, and we're going to talk about that, but you're going to have to figure out your rod and your line and how they match and how they work. But I'll show you how they work with this rod and line and the little formula that I've developed. You may have to develop a different formula if you're using a 100 grain or a 500 grain or a 3-weight rod or a 10-weight rod or whatever else. But the principles remain the same. So let's talk about them a little bit. Let's zoom back out again and we'll show you some of the techniques to cast this thing. So what I'm going to do is I've got most of my orange line about half outside and half inside, and all I'm going to do is, you can see I can roll cast that pretty easy. A dynamic roll cast is going to make a big difference. Watch, now I've got almost all my orange line out, and that stuck because it wasn't close enough to the surface. There we go. So now I can lift it up and do a tension cast and cast it all the way out there. So one of the things you can do is you can bring it back, then I can roll cast it if I want to, and from there I can do a water tension cast. I can roll cast it out, roll cast it up, or water tension cast it up, and then shoot it. So from the front, what you're doing is this. Your cast is like this, up and around. You can see that, up and around, and you should see that fly is not stopping. If that fly stops, it's going to go bong, and your rod's going to vibrate all over the place. So what we're doing is just this. That's the pickup. The roll cast is this. Get it going, get it going. You can see it skimming the surface. Skim, 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 and go. It's almost a switch cast. And as long as you get that fly out of the water, you can roll cast it. You can see I can roll cast that thing quite a ways now. As long as that fly is out of the water. But if that fly sinks, you're done. So you're going to have to get the fly out of the water. And again, this is a heavy line and a lot of weight and a lot of bulk on those flies. So that's the roll cast pickup with a heavy line. Right there. Pick it up, that's probably close to 30 feet out. So yeah, it's about 30 feet out there. From me to that fly is 30 feet. So from that position, I can pick it up right here, make a couple of false casts, and easily shoot it to 60, 65 feet. Remember, one of the things you want to do, and if you watch what I'm doing, when I'm false casting, when I get that orange line, and it's hard for you to see it, but when that orange line is inside my rod tip, then I've got some pretty good control of this fly. If I get that orange line outside of my rod tip, things start to fall apart. So right there, it's about a foot inside of my rod tip, and I can still make some casts. The object is to throw this thing. Don't try to false cast it. You're going to see if I was fishing, I would pull this back to here. I'm going to pick it up, and that's it, man. I'm going. Boom. You can't even, I mean, I'll show you how far you can cast this thing if you know what you're doing with very few false casts and very, very little line behind you. I'm not going to get a whole lot of line. I got a lot of line. You can see it in front of me. Roll cast it or roll cast pickup. We'll do a roll cast pickup this time. Swing it, swing it. Boom. That thing's gone, and that's a lot of line. That's probably an 80-foot cast. And all I did was 2 false casts using a constant tension cast. So constant tension cast is the key to life here. Getting your fly close to the surface before, if you've got your fly sunk like right now and you're trying to roll cast it out, I don't care. There's no way you're roll casting that out. It's not going to happen. You've got to pull your fly closer to you. You've got to get it close to the surface. Now you can roll cast it. And once you've roll cast it, let's get that. See, now I'm getting it all sunk. There we go. So now I'm going to get it up, 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 boom, up in the air, around, around. And there goes that big, huge, long cast again. So it's a matter of timing. It's a matter of making sure that you've got you understand that your fly you're not going to be able to do anything if your fly is down in the surf. You're going to have to get it close to the surface before you do anything. So don't listen to anybody who tells you the way to get a big, huge fly in a sink tip line out of deep water is to roll cast. It's not going to happen. You've got to get that close to the surface by lifting your rod. So as I lift my rod, so right here I've got probably, it's 24 feet, 7, I've got 32 feet to my fly right here. So from 32 feet out, I can lift my fly. If it's 32 feet out, I can lift my fly out of the water from 32 feet. Right there, it's out of the water. Then I can roll cast it. I can false cast it. So let's see how far I can go. That's 33 feet. That's 35 feet. That now is, let's see. I've got 9 feet plus 24 is 33 plus 7 is 40 feet. So if I try to get this thing, man, I'll tell you, that's pretty tough. So that's 40 feet out right now. That's about as far as I could possibly pull this thing out of the water. So even if it was 20 feet deep, I would have to pull it up, 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 get it clear, then do it. Get it clear, skim it if you want to and roll cast it, skim it and pick up to a roll cast pickup, or just skim it, skim it, skim it, skim it, skim it, get it up, 1 false cast and send it. So that's what you're doing with a big fly in a sink tip line and a roll cast pickup. Same thing with a dry fly, except it's a heck of a lot easier with a dry fly than it is with a big sink tip line. You can see this is just a matter of understanding your equipment, and you can see even myself, and I've done this a lot. I probably fish sink tip lines 40 days a year, so I've had an awful lot of experience with anything from 100 to 500 grain sink tip lines, and I can just tell you it takes, there are times when I'm going to blow it. I'm going to try to do too much with the line that I have. I just can't, I haven't got it out to close to the surface enough. So the secret is surface. Make sure you get your fly close to the surface before you start either a roll cast pickup, or some kind of a false cast. And then don't forget, one of the most important things for beginners especially is making sure that you use a water tension cast. Once you've got this thing out, the second it hits, watch what I'm going to do. I've got all this line right here in front of me and I want to get rid of it. So I'm going to do a roll cast, and then the second it hits, I'm going to pick it up and shoot it. And you can see how far that and fast that thing went. So again, just roll cast it out if you want to. The second it hits, boom, There it goes. So you can double your distance easily by doing a roll cast pickup. You could do a number of them if you want to. You can do not a roll cast pickup, but a water tension. I can start with just a little bit of line, put it out, pick it up, put it out, pick it up, and boom. So make sure, the point is, what's the principle? If that fly sinks, if you let it sit on that surface long enough to sink, your water tension cast is gone. You're gonna stick your rod and won't be able to lift it up. So it's gotta be the second it hits. Chris, if you could zoom in on me, I wanna show the haul that I'm using. Watch how slow this whole thing takes place. Much slower than you do with a normal rod. Last thing, let's watch and show the cadence, the smoothness, the slowness of the